Alrighty, welcome to episode 183 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla's much anticipated and arguably most important annual shareholder meeting will be held in Austin, Texas at 4:30 a.m. on Friday, Perth time. Western Australia's WAEV network has further progressed with Synergy's 75 kilowatt Kempower fast DC charger site at Kalbarri now commissioned and open to all EVs to use. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and welcome everyone to another episode of Ask Us Anything. And as is usual, at the end of the news, if anyone is new and is comfortable in doing so, please unmute and say hello. Or perhaps a little bit later on. And feel free to say hello anytime you like. Alrighty, so obviously the two big bits of news is Tesla's probably most important annual shareholder meeting in the history of the company, I dare say. And that's obviously the meeting whereby shareholders will be asked, or it's been asked by the board of Tesla, to ratify Elon Musk's 2018 CEO compensation plan. And also the other big bit of news is basically Synergy has finished the third last site in their part of the WAEV network, and that was the site at Kalbarri, which is really awesome. And we are going to be joined by Sandra Giri probably shortly, and she's going to give us a long-awaited update to the progress of the WAEV network. So we look forward to doing that as soon as Sandra joins us. But in the meantime, if anyone's got any opening questions or comments, please go ahead. And I think James, actually, we might throw to that a little bit later. But yeah, anyone got any opening questions or comments? Perhaps not. Okay.
Sorry.
One bit is
Sorry. No, there's a Jonathan. Yeah, go, Jonathan.
This is a very quirky question. How do you tell what your battery chemistry is? How do you tell whether you've got a lithium iron phosphate battery or one of the more traditional ones?
Okay, the quickest way to tell is go to your charge screen. So you press the car menu, which is the lower right-hand icon on your screen.
Yep.
And then select charging. And then you'll see you can select the amount of charge you desire to be put into your car between 50% and 100%. Now, if on that slider you see the words daily and trip, then your car has the NCA or nickel cobalt aluminium chemistry. And if you do not see those words daily and trip, then your car is LFP. And then
now, can I find out those things on the app without actually going into the garage, which is dark? So I've got the app open right now.
what car do you have, Jonathan?
Indeed.
Model 3.
Yeah. So if we just go with what you were saying, Jonathan, actually you cannot. Oh yes, you can. So if you get your slider and you slide beyond 80%, if you have NCA chemistry, you'll get a little message underneath that says, so in my case, I have NCA chemistry, and the app says 80% recommended for daily driving. So if you slide beyond 80% and you get that message just underneath the slider, your battery is then NCA.
And what if I get the message which says recommend put the charge at 100% and charge to 100% at least once a week?
Then it's LFP. So that's
standard,
lithium iron phosphate.
So, okay, that's interesting. That's what someone else told me, but I wasn't sure I'd believe them. But I will believe.
And generally, if it's a brand new car, If
Yep.
it's a standard range at the moment, it's LFP, and if it's a long range or performance, it's NCA. However, some people will have older standard range Model 3s, and I'm pretty sure they were NCA as well, just a smaller capacity.
Okay, so
So,
mine's 12 months old, so I reckon I must have been just one of the first LFPs to come through.
oh no, they've been around for a couple of years now, but
Oh,
um,
have they?
but the
Okay.
main metric these days is if you see the notification that it's better to have no more than 80% on a daily basis, your NCA. If it says go for it at 100%, you are LFP.
Brilliant.
And
All right. Thank you
just
very much for that. Cheers.
Jonathan, just for completeness, and if you wanted to see it in writing that it actually says lithium iron phosphate, you
Yep.
can go, once you're in your car, if you go under the software menu and click on additional vehicle information, it should say in there, yeah, it should have that under battery. And you'll probably find other interesting information there as well.
All right, brilliant. So under software and additional information, I'll try that tomorrow when it's light.
Yeah, the additional vehicle information just comes up in blue font. So just look for a sentence in blue font and press on that. Pop-up box should come up with all the data about your car.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Pete.
No worries.
Yes.
Alrighty. Sorry, I think Pete, you were then going to say something at the start.
Oh, it was only to break up the silence. So yeah,
cool. Okay. Well, we might just save that for another moment of silence, which might come right now. So who knows? Now, if there is anyone who is new, and either in the room that you've newly gotten your car, or you're thinking about getting a Tesla, or any other EV for that matter, just please feel free to ask any question. No question is sort of silly, or there's no such thing as a dumb question. All of us, when we first got our cars or first thought about getting our cars, knew very little about Tesla or the cars for that matter, and we've all learnt since. So, if there's anyone who'd like to ask, especially anyone new or is less experienced in their cars, feel free to ask away any question you like.
I think John is trying to ask a question, but you might be muted, John.
Actually, John's not muted. I think, John, you might need to go into Zoom and check that that Zoom is using your PC or laptop's microphone. So I can see you're not muted, but we can't hear you. And if that doesn't work, feel free to, and do test it. So just, fiddle with your audio settings and then say hello or something and interrupt. And if we can hear you, we'll let you know. Otherwise, you can ask the question through the text and through chat, and we can answer it. Other John, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, hi Harold. On my software update 14.9, I think that's the latest one. I've noticed the speed camera locations have disappeared. They were on the previous 14.8, but on 14.9, I just can't see them when I'm navigating to a certain destination. They don't appear anymore. Has anyone else got that on their 14.9?
Yeah, I've got the same.
I wonder if they may come back, because for one, I've got a Model Y and I've got 2024.20 .1.
Yep,
Actually, .20. So maybe they've come back. Have they disappeared for you, Paul?
No, they never went away. Must be special.
That's the software 2024.14.9. That's the software I've got in the Model Y.
Yeah, that's a bit older, John. What you might want to do, just do check, and this is applicable to everyone. When you go to, if you click on the menu button, and then I think it's software, and you can see preferences for software updates, and there's like normal or advanced, and
yes, I'm on advanced.
Okay, cool. So just in case anyone doesn't doesn't realize this, there is a standard and advanced. Everyone recommends that you click on advanced. I don't really know if it actually does anything, to be perfectly honest, but it probably does or might. And it means you might get software updates a little bit sooner than you might otherwise do. So yeah, Paul, I mean, I've had 2024.20 for a little while, and I've just got an
Yeah,
update that I'm installing tonight,
Mhm.
which is 2024.20.1.
yeah,
So
I
I've
got
got
that
I've
.1,
got
and it had fixes and stuff in it. And we
yeah,
got
I've
the
got
navigation update as well. Did you guys get that too?
I didn't look, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it came on mine, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
mine's the same.
24.14.
Yeah, I'm .9 on mine, and yeah, I went on Leach Highway past the camera tonight, and it wasn't there, but it definitely was with .5.
yep, same with me, Matt.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll get this .20 soon, and that'll fix it, John.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Now,
worries. Yep.
so bear in mind that with the speed camera locations, they are strictly limited to fixed long-term
Yes.
known locations.
Yep.
It's not like Waze where it will give you anything like a temporary camera, or even one that's, you know, those ones that they dump, like they carry it around like a trailer, take its wheels off, dump it for a week or so. None of those cameras will ever appear on the app at this stage. It's not a live daily or hourly or update on an hourly basis. It's updated on a semi-permanent basis. So just watch out if you inadvertently were speeding in an area that you thought was clear.
Yeah, there's one on mine in Rockingham and also one in Mandurah before the train station, which were both fixed, and they're gone.
Okay, well, like I said, hopefully they'll come
Okay.
back with a subsequent
Yep.
update, which is rolling out at this stage. So
Okay.
hopefully you'll get it soon,
Yeah, I
John.
haven't seen it.
Um,
Okay, no
okay,
problem.
Paul, you've got your hand up. Oh, you had your hand up. You've gone. Where have you gone to? Oh, there you go. Paul Vassallo. Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
I keep dropping out. Is it just me?
Yeah, it's
I've
just
dropped
you,
out.
Paul.
Oh,
It's
bugger.
just you,
right.
unfortunately.
Oh, if I drop out, I'll just ask my question quickly. Did you guys get did some of you may have got the message from Charge HQ? If you're one of the beta users of their platform, the question I had is, I'm wondering whether I should upgrade to their paid version. Are you guys using the solar, what they call it, the solar charging features? Anybody using those?
Charge on solar, which you need a Powerwall. So I'm pretty sure you need a Powerwall, or well, you basically need a Powerwall. Strictly speaking, I think you only need the gateway of a Powerwall, but you would have to have a Powerwall to have the gateway in the first place. So is anyone in the room that has set that up? It's not? No. So Paul, you'd have to, in order to effective, I guess the issue is, if you were to take advantage of Tesla's charge on solar system, you would then have to invest. Pete, how much is a Powerwall these days? Is it 15 grand or something? 13?
about that, yeah. Yeah.
13, 14, 15,
About 15.
$15,000. You'd have to get it approved by Western Power, etc., etc. And then the promise is, well, one of the features of that system is that I think you can assign 2 charge levels. You can assign sort of like your minimum charge level that the car will be charged to regardless of energy source, and then a second level, which is you prefer that to go up to you. If there is surplus solar that your house isn't using, and well, your Powerwall isn't using either because it's already full, then it will deploy that surplus solar, rather than going back to the grid, it'll go into your car. I dare say, if the only reason why you bought a Powerwall really was to get that feature, it's a little bit akin to some people that buy products such as the Zappi, hoping to recoup the free solar by expending a lot of money up front. So if you already have a Powerwall, great idea, it's a great extra feature. But if you don't, it wouldn't be economically viable to just on that pure basis alone buy a Powerwall. The Charge HQ, by the way, how much are they proposing to charge you if you're a beta tester?
I think it's $7 a month.
Okay, so you've got to run numbers on that too, and calculate, are you getting, particularly in winter, are you getting $7 a month worth of extra benefit that you wouldn't otherwise have gotten by doing something a bit more basic, such as plugging your car into a UMC and just sort of using a reasonable amount of solar and a mix? Because let's face it, in winter, if you're in winter with an average West Australian house that has a 5 kilowatt inverter with 6.6 kilowatts of panels, you aren't going to get much surplus into your car without pulling from the grid, to be perfectly honest. But in summer, it's different. But then in summer, you've got so much free energy that you don't need Charge HQ to sort of meter it out. You could just go flat stick with something like a UMC and just tell it to pull 2.5 kilowatts sort of in the middle of the day. Alrighty. I think James, you had your hand. Oh, actually, what I might do is call on Sandra. I just realised you are there, Sandra. So if you would like to, there you go. Sandra Giri is Synergy's. She actually needs no introduction, but just in case for anyone who is literally brand new, and for those on YouTube that are new to the channel, welcome, and on X. Sandra Giri is Synergy's best discovery and design practitioner, and I don't even know what that means, but I'm not even sure that Sandra knows what that means. What it means is that she is singly the most important Synergy employee that ever had anything to do with the WA EV network. And Sandra is here tonight to present the very latest update of the WA EV network. And I'm just going to set this up so that I can get this ready for Sandra. 2 seconds, sorry.
All right, thanks.
Actually, I'm just with, sorry, Sandra, I've just got to load up my version.
It's all right. Tell me if you prefer, I can share if you prefer.
No, unfortunately, I've turned sharing off for technical reasons.
Oh, yeah.
It just affected, come on, open with.
Well, that's fine. While you do that, I will just introduce quickly where we are. So, hi everyone. For those of you who has been quite new to the Ask Us Anything forum, so I'm working for Synergy for the last 3 years on WAV Network, which is a project that is trying to create a spine of fast chargers all the way north from Kununurra to the south to Eucla and to the east to Kalgoorlie. So we are working in conjunction with Horizon Power, and we are nearly at the end since it's been 3 years in the making. So I will show you what it looks like, but more or less the WAV Network Synergy team is finishing at the end of June. So that's probably my last one here. Yeah, no, it's a bit a sweet feeling, I might say. I'm very happy that we are getting to the end because we're a little bit delayed on the project. So we are 3 months delayed on the project. So I'm happy that it is happening, but I'm a bit sad because it was an amazing project. So obviously it will be it's like delivering a baby a little bit. Anyway, with less pain, hopefully. And yeah, if you have any question along the way, please feel free to interrupt at any time. So WAV network, I didn't know what will be the audience, so apologies for those of you who are very familiar with this project. But this is what the project looked like. So it's 49 locations throughout Western Australia. It's a ministerial initiative. And so it's separated between Horizon Power Land, which is in light blue, and the SWIS, so the Southwest Interconnected System, that is managed by Synergy in dark blue. So Synergy had 22 sites to install fast chargers. And as you can see, we are very, very close to the end, because in green are all the chargers that are already live and open to public. In orange are the ones under construction, and in yellow are the ones where construction haven't started. So altogether on the WA network, we are at number 34 out of 49. So getting there, which is a good sign. So just to show you the hardware, and this is the hardware used by Synergy. Horizon Power is using as well some 50 kilowatt tritium, but Synergy decided to not go to tritium at all. So we are using a brand called Kempower, which is a Finnish brand. That's the big one that you can see on your left. And most of the time it's 150 kilowatt or 75 kilowatts. The good thing with this charger, it's a stackable power module, so you can improve if, for example, Calvary is a 75 kilowatt. If one day we want to improve the charger, we don't have to change the charger, we just have to add a power module to it. Both of the nozzle are CCS2. Since there is less than 1% of the car using CHAdeMO, we didn't see the use. And again, I might thank Stokwa for their help on this one. But that's 2 CCS2. There is no CHAdeMO at all on the WAV network. And you have also a backup charger. Most of the time, the backup charger, it's a slow charger or AC charger, which could be a 7 kilowatt or 22 kilowatt. This is the middle one that you can see here. And I guess not the innovation, because it's crazy to call that innovation nowadays. However, it's quite rare to see it on most chargers. But you have the opportunity on the WAV network to charge with a credit card. So if you don't have reception, if you don't want to bother with another app, if you don't want to use an RFID card, you can also use the credit card and tap and go kind of system to pay and charge your car. So as I just said, there's 3 ways to pay: RFID card, the app. We are using ChargeFox. I'm sure you are very familiar since it's one of the biggest networks so far in Australia. Or you can use a credit card, and the price will be reviewed every year to make sure that this WAV network stay in the market and appropriate to the market. The idea is to stimulate the market, not to kill it. So we'll never, it won't make sense to be cheaper or to be very, very expensive. The idea is not to make money out of it, but it's not either to make it free. We want Tesla to put chargers next to ours. We want RAC to put more chargers. We want everyone, every private investors to come along. So with this in mind, at the moment, DC charger in the Swiss area are at 60 cents per kilowatt hour, and the AC charger is just above the price that you are paying at home, which is 35 cents per kilowatt hour. And in the Horizon Power Land, it depends if they are using solar or non-solar. If they are using solar, it's a little bit more expensive. And the AC charger is at the same price. Is there any questions so far or any comments? Or are you guys very familiar with the project? Or depending, I might not come back to all the features if you are very familiar with it, obviously. But if there is new people, I'm more than happy to go through some features.
I think we're good.
Cool. One thing that we really wanted when we did the tender for the software, and so asking the CPO for the charge point operator being ChargeFox. ChargeFox was not providing push notification, and they were not providing idle fee. So one thing that we were really adamant, and again, it's thanks to you guys, because I asked you to do a survey to ask you, and I asked you, do you want idle fee on DC chargers? And I think, remind me, Harold, I think it was 96% or like a ridiculous number who
Pretty much
wanted
everyone.
idle fee on DC chargers. So when I put this survey to ChargeFox, they didn't have a choice than implementing it. So it's in the contract. And so since July last year, we have implemented idle fee every time we operationalize a charger. It's only on DC chargers. And it's like for the Tesla superchargers, we didn't have to reinvent the wheel. It's not rocket science at all, except that we provide a bigger grace period because sometimes our charger can be a bit further to amenities or to restaurants or things like that. So we thought 10 minutes will be a good start so that people get used to it as well. The idea is not to rip off people. The idea is really to avoid that people overstay and go ballooning for 6 hours, and that during this time others can't charge, since we are quite relying on one charger in most locations. We can't afford to have someone parking there forever and not caring about others. So it's $1 per minute after the 10 minutes grace period. If you are fully charged your car, then you are paying $1 per minute. And as Mike said, since July last year and at the end of April, the idle fee were representing 2.6% of the charging instances. So that's quite a big number still, I find. And this represents about 1,036 instances of overstay within the grace period. So between 0 and 10 minutes, we have 1,036 sessions. So that means this incentive is working well. So more and more, I'm sure that you pay $150 once, not twice, so for a full charge of your car. So hopefully this will be really like an education process, I guess. Is there any comment on idle fee, or are you surprised by the numbers or anything?
Yeah, I think the 2%'s a bit high. 2.6 is a bit high, and hopefully that gets a bit lower, because it's just bad behavior to not be aware of what your car's doing and not be respectful to other EV users. You don't sit against a petrol bowser and go for a coffee.
And it is hard to not know, because if you use the app, you receive push notification, like at least 10 minutes before the charge is finished. You're like, please start to get back to your car. Your charge is nearly finished. Your charge is finished. You're going to pay idle fee in 10 minutes. It's written on the app. On the charger itself, if you don't use the app, you have a QR code that can allow you to know how long more or less it's going to take you, depending if you want to charge to 80% or 90% or 100%. So, and there is beautiful stickers that Harold has put everywhere, because it required an engineer to do so. And like there is information everywhere. Seriously, like you can't say I didn't know there was idle fee. Like I don't know. Like it's so hopefully it's quite funny as well. I couldn't do, like, it was taking me too much time to really get into the details, but I can tell on an overview there is quite few sites as well that are paying idle fee more than others. Let's put it this way. So I think some people will always be entitled, but some others hopefully will get the education. And most of the time, I believe that people just don't know about it, and hopefully they will, as I said, they will pay once, and then it won't happen again.
The best way to see the effectiveness of idle fees is to have a look at chargers that don't have idle fees. And I was at Karrinyup last week. There was a car that finished charging in the morning around 9 o'clock when I arrived there. So they were already at 100% or whatever their maximum state of charge was. I came there 3 hours later. That exact same car with the same number plate was still sitting there with 100% charge or finished charging. Now, that was at the EV side, the EVIE side. At the Tesla site, at the free AC charger, there was a car there for 2.5 hours. Same thing, just sitting there, that was already charged. So, people are treating, without idle fees, people are treating the bays as EV parking bays, which is not what their purpose is. They're EV charging bays, not EV parking bays.
Yeah, you're right. And particularly on the WAV network, I mean, this is really a regional charges, like we have only one in the metropolitan area, because, and it's on purpose. The whole goal of this charging network is to create the spine throughout whole Western Australia for traveling, right? Like we are not talking about the people that needs to charge next to their town or things like that. We are talking about people moving from A to B throughout all WA. So like you just want to charge and keep going. You don't want to have to wait 2 hours because someone didn't care. So that's why it was so important. And that's why we fight really hard to make sure that it was in the contract and that we implemented this idle fee. So yeah, so far for us, it's a success. We are really happy that we were able to provide this feature on our fast chargers. And as you say, when you look the fast chargers, the way people behave on the fast chargers versus the backup chargers that most of the time is an AC charger on which we don't have idle fee, it's quite interesting to see the length of time, even though it's understandable as well when you have a 7 kilowatt or even a 22 kilowatt, you know, like obviously you won't stay only half an hour most of the time if you really need it. And some have really nice locations, so I can understand, but yeah, it's just a great feature. We are happy that it has been possible.
And by the way, quickly, well done to you, Sandro, because I know you were like a bulldog with a bone when it came to the idle fees. You wouldn't take no for an answer. So well done for sticking to your guns on that.
But that was, look, when you come with the data from EV customers, and so it's thanks to your support, you know, because if you guys didn't back me up, it was just my voice, and then I'm not listened to. So, you know, when you put data in people's face, there's nothing, like, it's not perception, it's not a feeling, it's tangible, it's data. This is it. That point. There was no conversation, there was no negotiation, this is it. And so I was like, of course I'm not taking no as an answer, because it is a need. This is what customers are asking. So why not? Like, what is your argument then? Like, there's absolutely no reason. And come on, we are in 2024. Push notifications are basic things. We get them for everything. Like, exactly. You take a GP appointment, you get a push notification. It's simple as. So yeah, it's crazy that they just didn't have it. And now apparently, which is funny enough, is that since the WAV network has implemented idle fee, now a lot of ChargeFox customers are asking exactly the same. So that's really encouraging. I'm so glad we were able to be the guinea pig, you know, that's music to my ears. So yeah, it's really cool.
Well, actually, you weren't the guinea pig, you were the instigator, you were the inventor, or the person that enforced idle fees.
I just copied Tesla.
Exactly. And as much as ChargeFox tried to pretend and imply that Synergy sort of agreed to be the test place for idle fees, it was Synergy that actually initiated that the ChargeFox network has idle fees. So whenever you see ChargeFox putting out their tweets or their posts saying that they've wonderfully invented all this initiative, we all need to remember that that initiative came from Synergy. So anyway.
And Tesla superchargers have had these for years as well. So yeah.
Because you've got to give humans like carrots, but sometimes you have to hand out a stick, because a lot of people are selfish.
So with this in mind, I'm focusing mostly on the Synergy part, since that's the one that I know the most. So apologies if you wanted more information on Horizon Power. You can always ask me on the chat and I can try to find the answer for you. But obviously I will talk about what I know best. So as Harold said earlier, we are nearly at the end, since we had 22 sites to be done, and we are already at, let's say, 20 and a half, since Ravens have already had the AC charger live. So I will say 21 and a half, 20 and a half, sorry. So yeah, really happy with that. Getting to an end. So it's really great to see. It's been a long project, so it's been lovely. So there's different configuration. Obviously, you will have the same kind of feeling every time you go. The touch and feel will be pretty much the same throughout the network. but because every time the 22 destination, it's a bit like 22 different projects, like 22 mini projects, because you have to work with the local government authorities, and you have to work with Western Power, you have to work with a lot of different stakeholders. And for this specific reason, we were also depending on other stakeholders. And that's why sometimes the site will be 2 fast chargers. Sometimes it will be 1 fast charger, 1 backup AC charger. Sometimes it's drive-through, sometimes it's drive-in. And also, I think we have learned a lot throughout the sites, because at start we didn't know really what we were doing, to be honest. And so we learned a lot throughout the way. And so more and more, I think we make the sites better. So actually the drive-through, we try to find a drive-through location at every place. And actually we have like 10 out of 22. So 45% of our sites on the suite are drive-through, which is for me really, really a big win, because it's very complicated to find a location that please everyone. So that's, for example, the best site with Cogenup having the co-location with Tesla, like we did in Albany as well. That's really great. Hayden, Pete, you were the first one to try it, which is, I believe that's your car on this picture, isn't it?
No, that's not mine.
Which one is this one? I can't even know.
But yes, I did manage to bid Harold to 1 charger.
Yeah,
Actually, I think it might have been two chargers. Sorry.
That's my car, Sandra. That's, yeah.
There you go.
Anyway, moving
So
right along.
so some of them
Was Harold even first? Was Harold even first? Because I beat him to 2 as well.
You did.
Sorry, I didn't. What was that, Shane? I couldn't hear you properly.
I think if I beat you to 2 and Pete beat you to 2, then were you actually first at any of them?
Never mind.
Yeah,
this
is secret in the making.
Just the other thing.
I was there when they were procreated before they even were born. Oh, sorry.
There's a lot of different configurations. So drive-through, drive-in. Most of the time we have tried to retrofit the 7 kilowatt backup charger, AC charger, to 22 kilowatt, but there is still few destinations like Coolgardie, Southern Cross, or Williams, where it was costing us too much money. So we were not able to retrofit the backup charger from 7 to 22 kilowatt. However, a lot of them now are 22 kilowatts, so it's still good. And you can see like Southern Cross and Williams have this kind of island, and which we thought was a good idea and was looking good. And then we realized that it's not really disabled friendly. And so, for example, for Coolgardie, we didn't do an island, or for a lot of other sites, actually, Calgary, all the ones after that, we realized that actually when we can have a drive-through, we will avoid to do an island for this specific reason. So that's what I mean. It has been a learning process throughout the 3 years. So I think sometimes you are like, oh, I'm the latest site to be done. Well, you're probably lucky if you're a bit towards the end, because then you learn from the others' mistakes. So,
sorry, Sandra, I didn't hear. What was the reason why you didn't think the island was? Did you say wheelchair access, or?
It is not. Yeah, look, if you have a wheelchair, for example, it is not really practicable. So
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hazard, and it doesn't bring that much more. Like, it's good looking, but who cares? Like, it's not practical. We want it to be practical more than good looking, to be fair.
Absolutely.
And just to clarify the 7 kilowatt, 22 kilowatt thing, without sort of getting too far into the weeds, the original intention of the project was to have 75 kilowatt chargers, DC chargers, and basically 2 lots of 22 kilowatt AC chargers. And what was suggested to Synergy was, and to Horizon Power, was that it would be preferable to reduce the power of the AC chargers, because the point is you can't have power for free. All the power that you have to supply to site costs a lot of money to put in transformers, of a certain capacity. So basically, rather than having what could be an excess of AC power, it was, can we double the DC power? And thankfully, the minister at the time agreed to that change in direction. And I think it was probably an error of one of the advisors that then said, well, that's great, just keep the 7 kilowatt and you've got your 150 kilowatt DC. As it turns out, Synergy has worked out that in quite a few locations, they can retrofit to 22 kilowatt. So that's 3-phase, 32 amps. Now, obviously, most cars can't take 22 kilowatts, but Teslas can take 11. So that means you'll get about 30% faster charging on that backup AC charger, which is of benefit to a lot of people. So it wasn't that Synergy made a mistake. It's just that they sort of followed a modified plan. And like I said, unfortunately, one of the advisors wasn't sort of savvy enough to go, oh, actually, by the way, you can also sort of have your cake and eat it too, and have a high power level. But to Synergy's credit, wherever it was possible, they've upgraded, or on the newer sites, actually implemented 3-phase 22 kilowatt AC charging from the get-go.
Yeah, the idea is always to learn from what we have done, and learn from our mistake and optimize the site if we can do for no cost, because obviously there's a budget and this is it. We don't get anything more. So every time we think of doing something, it has to be, I guess it has to be optimization and value for money, whatever we are doing, because we are talking taxpayer money anyway. So.
And we're
James,
talking of a
you have
whole.
your-
Oh, sorry. Go, James.
No, just saying, I think Coolgardie's put an island in, so that's probably the local council, is it? I've just put a picture into the chat.
I think so, because I haven't
Yeah.
been since then, to be honest. Since the commissioning, I didn't have the luxury to go to Coolgardie again. But I'm not going every week, but
Yeah.
they did the EV painting as well. As you can see, the EV painting, I know it's silly, but you can see the green design there on the bay. It's not the WEV network EV stencils. So that's the courtesy of the LGA. Unfortunately, the person I was working with, which was awesome and has been very helpful and very nice, has retired in January. And so I think the people taking over don't really know much about the project, and they don't reach out a lot before doing things. So there's quite a few mistakes on the site. But look, it is what it is. At the end of the day, we won't have any money, and they won't have any money either to change it. But we are going to change the EV stencils to make it white, like you can see in Williams. And the reason for that is that we didn't want to apply any kind of branding. This EV logo that you can see on the bay is recommended by Main Roads and Australian Roads. And this is what we want to put to future profit, whatever it's happening later. So with this in mind, the two latest sites, which was last week and the week before, like we have been very, very busy lately, was Brookton, where it was pissing rain. We even have to put like a kind of gazebo on top and so on to finalize the commissioning. Like it was quite a funny one to go through, which is a drive-through as well. It's a really good site, really close to the cafe and the toilets and so on. It's not out of the way, so it's not a big detour when you are traveling through Brookton. And the last one was last week in Kalbarri, quite wet as well. I'm sure Ken and Harold were really happy to come along to this one, since we had a lot of accidents. And anyway, everyone, I think we have stories for nearly each of these sites. Like this looks good, right? If you get the backstory of all these sites, I think we were saying with Harold, we should write a book or something. It would be a cartoon, I think, or sketch maybe, because it's funny, but not on the moment. It's funny maybe 2 months later.
It'd be the size of War and Peace, Sandra.
Yeah. Anyway, so with this done, and just Kalbarri, this is the only site that is only 75 kilowatts. As you have seen, all the other 21 sites within the Swiss The DC charger is 150 kilowatt. The reason why Calgary is only 75 kilowatt is at start, the project was not having any chargers in Northampton and only one in Calgary. And so what we propose to the Shire, since the same Shire of Northampton is looking after Calgary, we propose to the Shire, since Calgary is really a destination, it's a big detour from the main road to go north. So we said to them, if we put a 150 in Northampton with only a AC charger as a backup, then we can put a 75 kilowatt in Calgary. So that is why Calgary is only a 75, but you will be a bit misled in the way that the box looks the same. So you have no idea if it's 150 or 75 kilowatts. It's like if you go to Margaret River, there is two big boxes. One is 150, one is 75. But until you go to see the box, you won't know which one is what, because it's not written on it, except when you go on the screen to see how much power you can get from it. So, yeah.
And just a quick note, the 75 is actually better than 75. It's been dialed up to 90 kilowatts. So it's actually, if you're a single car, you're not really much worse off than the standard Kempower 150 kilowatt in a Tesla. So it's actually nowhere near as bad as you think. It basically puts out effectively 90 kilowatts, which is really good.
And so this is the two last. And so Ravensthorpe, to give you a bit of a background, because Ravensthorpe has been a very hot topic lately. Ravensthorpe has been very, very good Shire to work with, very, very proactive. They were the first one out of the 22 to sign the license agreement with Synergy. And believe me, it takes a lot of time to sign this agreement and find the site and everything. But the issue with Ravensthorpe, there has been a couple of issues with Ravensthorpe. The first issue we had was one of the parts was missing, and we were struggling to find an HV elbow with, thank you, with Western Power. So they were really struggling to find this elbow that apparently connect the transformer to the charger itself in simplified version. And our site was ready since the 9th of October. So that's what the number of days, 247 days today. And the second issue we have with Ravensthorpe is that's really at the limit of the Swiss. And we had quite a few issues with the power itself. And therefore, we had to find a curtailment solution for Ravensthorpe in working very closely with Western Power. And so because it's the first time we do that as well, and Western Power is doing that as well, it's still really a discovery, I guess. And so that's why it's taking so long. So they found the elbow finally, I think, in April. And so we were able to commission the charger. So the DC charger and the AC charger are commissioned. However, at the moment, only the AC charger is open to the public. So you have a 22 kilowatt where Harold's car is parked there. You have a 22 kilowatt AC charger open to the public, but the DC charger won't be open to the public before the end of this month because we are doing right now some curtailment testing. We were there earlier this week. Actually, we came back last night. Some of my team is still down there trying different things and playing with engineer words that I don't understand half of them, but yeah, they are very much working on this testing to be able to open it before the school holidays of July. So it's coming soon.
And Northam, Sandra?
And Northam. So Northam, it's not our fault for once, and it's not Western Power fault either. It's really the Shire that struggled so much because Northam, the site location that they gave us in Northam, they are revamping the whole area. So EV station is just a little piece of their big project that they are doing. And as per such, they are just starting, like what you see there, it's last week. And so they are just starting the car park works. And therefore, we were not able to start anything. So now that they are doing their car park works, we are hoping to be able to do our civil works in July and we are very I think, optimistic to be able to have this site open to public in August at the latest,
Fantastic.
which will be the end for us.
Yes, and it's happy and sad at the
Yes.
same
But
time.
that's good, like, you know, and Horizon Power still has 13 sites to go. So we're quite happy. Let's you know, let's drag it a
Can
little
we
bit.
get Sandra to just keep going and like do Great Northern Highway maybe?
I vote for
That's
that.
Sandra would have to defect to Horizon Power to do that because it's their charges to
That's
install.
their land.
For,
I
for
think there's
which
one on our land if they go this way, isn't it? On the business case, I think there's one in the Swiss.
I think there would
Most of
be
it is in Horizon Power.
Dalwallinu would probably be one of them. Oops,
I
sorry,
think so.
I just bumped the thing. Yeah, Dalwallinu or something like that would be one location for the Swiss.
Yeah. So before I go further on usage data and all the engagement, is there any question or any comments or anything? It's clear, I would say.
Yeah.
Good. So usage data, I'm not going to go through the 20 sites, right? But I went overall until the end of April. And so we have reached over 15,000 charging events since we opened the fast charger last year in April in Geraldton. And in the Swiss, so only for the 20 location, the average charge is about 36 minutes. And which is really cool is to see this behavior of people mainly charging at the off-peak period and during solar. So that's really great to see that people mostly are charging their car between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. So that's really good. Paul, I can send you the presentation if you want it.
Yes.
And that represents quite a
Definitely.
good abatement of CO2 as well, because so far we are already at 132 tons. So yeah, it's ramping up as well. So that's really good to see. And if you go to next slide, thank you. So the most used location, no surprise, Pana, this is the metropolitan area, obviously with Kings Park, smashing it with 17 daily use. I think when I had a look last week, we were already at 18 daily use. Like it's just increasing more and more and more. Like the usage of Kings Park is getting really nuts. We also see a high utilization of the AC charger. It's a very prime location. It's in front of the Zamia Cafe. So for those of you who knows a little bit, Kings Park, it's a very prime location. Like you are like few hundred meters to the cafe. So yeah, for this reason, I think there is a lot of people, if they see the AC charger free, they will park there for their whole lunch. Yeah. In some instance, maybe we should put Idelphi on AC charger as well, but I guess it's a backup. So in the whole network, we can't do an exception on one side and not the other. We try to be consistent throughout the whole network. So yet, Kings Park is working really, really well. And then it's followed by Margaret River, which is quite a brand new site. Margaret River was launched in April, something like that, with an average 6 daily uses and a very high level of idle fee, and the biggest idle fee amount from far, very, very far. So I don't know if people have no idea, or because we're not far from cafe and we are not far from restaurants and so on, but I don't know, maybe in Margaret River, people don't care to pay $150 for the charge. I don't know.
Did Harold not put the stickers on right?
Maybe. It's actually very hard to put that joke about. It's a science. So now he's the one doing it because he has done so many. He's the expert in applying the sticker. I left some in his car in case every time he will do his nuts round the Australia turn, you know, like that. If he sees some damage, he can replace them.
Hey, I should put some stickers on all the other locations, like on
yeah, you can
AA
see.
and,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, that would
I'm
be-
not listening to you. I don't know anything about this. I'm not responsible. And yeah, Albany obviously is very well used as well with 2 DC charger, and Julian Bay as well with 5. And then all the regional one are still very well used between 2 and 4 daily uses. I mean, in some places like Coolgardie and so on, that's great. That's a really good. And we see all of them. There's one thing that is very consistent is that all of them are increasing use. So yeah, it's very great to see that where it was required, obviously. The chicken and
also
egg things.
and to be clear, in some of the more remote locations, EV uptake isn't as prevalent because they had to build it. Synergies had to build it before people could then say, oh, well, now I will have an EV and use it and travel to those places. So it takes a little bit of time for people to organically explore places they couldn't explore before.
Well, I think it's the perfect example is the whole route from Perth to Kalgoorlie. Like there was nothing at all. And now we see like people were spending hours and hours charging in the oval at Southern Cross or Merredin. Like we did it, right? So now it's so much quicker. Like they make nearly the same time as a petrol car to go from Perth to Kalgoorlie. So there is more and more cars traveling this way. And we really see the increase Merredin, Southern Cross, Coolgardie. Like we can see the little ants going, it's really cool. It's really cool to see. Yeah. So to finish out, I really wanted to talk about the engagement because I guess the rollout, it's the visible part of the iceberg, obviously, but that's really the cherry on the cake. This is the easy part of the whole project, is the rollout. Installing the charger is, even though we had complication on every site and so on, it's really the whole 2 years before that where you have to talk with every single shires, engage with people that are so anti-EV. This is not for me. You can't do. I'm sure you hear all these negative comments every single day when you drive your car, right? So the engagement part was really, really important. And I can't thank enough all the people that helped me along the way, and mostly Tokwa and AVA as well, that have been really, really big part of this project and still are a big part of this project. And so if you come back, Harold, don't try to go faster. Like Harold didn't get the presentation a long time before on purpose, but it was mainly the LGA ongoing engagement. To give you an idea, throughout the 22 LGA, we were in contact with them, every single them, at least once per month, if not once per week at some point of the project. So it requires really to create trust, and it was a win-win relationship in most of the case. There's not many shires that were really a pain to work with, which was really nice. But it takes time. At start, they know nothing about the project. They know nothing about EV. They don't get any budget to provide the car park. Some towns didn't have anything. Like Coolgardie, they have no budget to create a car park, for example, and they're just like, we give you chargers, but you have to give us bays. And it was not an easy one for the put on them either. So it was really a long collaboration. And then you need, before you start civil works, if you don't want to have issue like what happened in Kalbarri 2 years ago, or like a bit more than a year ago, where people were not aware of the project, and when they see that the civil works were starting in Kalbarri, they were not happy with the site location at all. And because the Shire didn't do a DA, like nobody knew about it, and so we had to cancel all the location altogether and redo it from scratch. So not only it costs a lot of money, but it's also a lot of delay, which is very disappointing. So from there, we learned our lesson as well. Every single time we went to the location, at least 2 or 3 weeks before the civil works were started. And it was really a door-to-door, like taking a map of Western Australia and just chatting about the project, talking about all the local businesses, people in the street, just say, hey, did you know about this? It's going to happen in your town. And just to make sure that people were going to be, I guess, not happy, but like aware of it. And if they have any question or any comments, they can feel like they are part of it. And a big play in this as well is, obviously you can see all the legends there on these pictures, but it's all the community engagement along with Tokwa, or AVA that came with me to all the festival and markets. And yeah, I'm sure, Ken, you can talk as well of how fun it was to go to Calgary 2 weeks ago under the raining. And yeah, it has been a long process, but I'm very grateful to have you as a support on all of this. So this is a picture actually at the Geraldton markets. As you can see, we had like Synergy, Tokwa, and AVA together. I think we chat for like 6 hours non-stop, and it was brilliant. Like, people were so happy to see EVs. They were able to get in. They were able to talk about everything EVs, but also like the WAV network. So it so makes sense, because how do you want to talk about a network and chargers without talking about EVs? Like, one doesn't go with the other. So this collaboration is crucial, and yet it was quite difficult to create this collaboration, not because Harold and I didn't want to work together, but more because it's something that usually we don't do. We usually don't bring outsiders to any project. So it is as well, I guess, a work in progress. And it has been a bit of a fight to make sure that he can come to every commissioning and that we can go to do the customer engagement. So I had a private chauffeur for 3 years. It was brilliant, I'd say. Thanks, Harold, for driving me everywhere.
And usually
everything
safely.
Mainly.
Absolute pleasure.
Mainly. But yeah, it was really great, and Pete came along, and so every time he's talking, what you see there is on the top left, for example, is going to see the Shire of Merredin and just having a chat with them. Like, it was a few months before the commissioning, and it was the Shire president and the project manager, and it's talking about them. He gave them a ride, obviously. So then they get super excited about the project, and if they are excited, then they're going to make their best to make it work as well. Just next to this one where Harold has a red t-shirt, it's in Manjimup, where the Shire president came along as well. So same, he went for a ride. Geraldton, Lanslin, I can't even count them. There's been so many of them. And so every time the idea is just to talk with everyone. So I just really reiterated the massive thanks to all of you, particularly you, Harold, but also Pete, Rob, Ken, and Ant from AVA as well. Like, it's just been, without you, this project will not be as good. So for you who are looking at Ask Us Anything, like, I hope that you are very aware that they have played a massive role in this network, and it will be not as good as this without their help and their inputs. And behind the scene, because they can't say anything, like they have signed an NDA, so most of the time they can't talk about anything, even though they know the things. So it has been very frustrating. They have worked hours and hours for free as well. Let's put it this way. So yeah, just a massive thanks to all of you.
But actually, Sandra, like I said, the true thanks of the community is to you, because it was through your tenacity to actually even get, people from Tokwa and Ava to even help out and suggest, new things, and to be of the little bit of assistance that we were able to be of. And that was, you basically swimming upriver, basically against the flow, to make sure that this project was delivered. And for a piddly $25 million, it's the absolute best project that it could possibly ever have been. And really, the community owes you an awful lot, Sandra. And you're here of your own time now, giving us this presentation. You're not getting paid for this. You're not on the payroll for this. This is you volunteering to give to the EV community, and to seek no return. So it's, we really do thank you so much. And it's a great project. It's something that we all deserve, but it's through your work that we've actually got the very best project that could possibly have been delivered with the resources that were given by the government.
Yeah, thank you. It's obviously I drive a Tesla, so very selfish of me.
Full disclosure, you only got that Tesla only a few months ago, Sandra. So, and
It was about time, right?
it's
You guys
about
give me
time.
shit for too long.
Keep talking the talk, but you've got to walk the talk. So now you're driving the talk, and
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
and you've
I've
made a
been
great
stranded in most of the charges. Yes. Thank you very much. And yeah, look, I don't think I will be there, at least representing Synergy. As I say, this is the end for the WAV Network Synergy team. So we are finishing at the end of June. Obviously, I will get in touch because I'm very passionate about this, as you say. But yeah, hopefully we can learn. And we have been working with a lot of other government initiatives as well. So we are helping where we can to share all our hurdles, all the mistake we did, because it's far away from being perfect. And let's be honest, we are gonna still queue Telstra outage, like issue that happened, was that last week or the week? Like, it's really show a lot of issue on our charges at the moment, and I'm sure you're all very aware, like I'm not putting the head in the sand. We have been stranded with Harold on Monday night in Hayden, and if it was not for us to know the right numbers of people because we work on the project, we'll probably have to spend the night in Hayden instead of going to our destination. So it's not funny. Like we had issue at most of the charges along the way. So that's great to have this issue now. It's brilliant because we are learning, and it's great to have them now because we can work on it. And I can only hope that when it will go to business as usual, now it will just be smooth, and hopefully it will work, because once again, installing the chargers, it's the easy part. So the whole operationalization of it, the operation and maintenance is a massive part of it as well. And I hope that the second phase kind of thing, if I can call it like that, I hope that it's going to work as brilliantly as this project. And I think there was one question regarding Horizon Power site. So last time I talked with Horizon Power, they were looking at end of year for finalizing completely. I think end of year is really to take into account the 4 additional sites that are on the Nullarbor sites. I'm not going to pronounce the full name, but there is 4 stations that goes from Esperance to the Nullarbor.
So Baladonia, Kaiguna, Madura, and it's actually Mundrabilla.
Thanks, Harold. But for the others, I know that they're working really hard. They're getting a lot of issues as well that they didn't see it coming. They have quite a bit of vandalism as well, unfortunately. So they are a bit more delayed, unfortunately. But they are hoping to finish by the end of this year.
Cool. And just the last thing, Sandra, if anyone has any feedback they want to give about any part of the WAV network, you can see I guess I dare say the Synergy side, which is the Swiss, then please send an email with either praise or concerns or criticism or anything, just experiences, suggestions, to wavnetwork@synergy.net.au.
Sandra, just a quick question. Personally, we know that you're finishing with the WAV network project at the end of the month. What's happening with you personally? Has Synergy offered you the CEO role yet, or what's happening?
Thankfully not. I would not like to have this position, to be honest with you. I'm not good at politics, mate. I can't. You know how they call me on this project? They call me the mole for a reason. Yeah, that's my nickname in the project. The mole in the hole. I'm not sure who is the hole, but I'm the mole. So no, I can't be a CEO of such an organization. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet what I'm doing. It's finishing in a couple of weeks. I think I'm gonna take a little bit of time for myself. But I can't just transition. Yeah, I know it sounds silly for most, and look, it's fine. I assume perfectly, but I feel like it's a bit of a baby delivery, so I will need a bit of time to think what's next for me. Yeah, so I'm gonna be on the lookout, but I'm an employee at Synergy, so it's not like I'm gonna be fired at the end of the month, but I'm just taking my time at the moment to look what is the right job and the right organization, the right project for me.
Something we'll be campaigning for, Sandra, is as awesome as the WA EV network is with fast DC chargers at 200-kilometre intervals. Perhaps after we've succeeded with the Great Northern Highway campaign, the next thing is for those EV owners that have caravans and trailers and other things.
What are you gonna throw my way?
It'll be really handy. It'll be really handy to have 100-kilometre intervals, which standard cars don't need, standard EVs. But if you're towing a caravan, Shane and Sarah, you'll know this very, very well. It'll be awesome to have 100-kilometre intervals. So, look, we know it's going to cost the state government a mere $25 million just to double up the existing network, and wouldn't that be awesome?
And while we're throwing those suggestions out there, let's have some sort of a plan for some of the inner suburbs of Perth as well. We're a major city in a developed nation. We still don't have a single DC charger at the airport in 2024. That's just an outcry. It's just shameful. And you know, Joondalup, which is close to where I am, but it's arguably it's close to where I am, so I don't actually need the DC charger there. I charge at home. Yeah, Joondalup is arguably the second biggest, most important urban centre outside the central business district in Perth, an area with a huge number of apartments. Yeah, we definitely need a. We've only got one single DC charger, which has got, you know, one CHAdeMO and one CCS2. When that charger opened about 3 months ago, I said that it won't be long before we'll see cars lining up to use the CCS2 while the CHAdeMO collects dust. And I didn't think it would happen that early, but I was there only 2 weeks ago, and we had 3 cars waiting for CCS2 and not a car to be seen with any demand for the CHAdeMO. So it's happening already. So for the whole of Joondalup to only have a single public DC charger is just ridiculous, and no chargers at the airport. So yeah, we need to do a bit more infill in the metro area as well.
Absolutely. All right, Sandra, I really, once again, really thank you and appreciate everything you've done, and appreciate you in particular coming on tonight at the end of the project. Please don't be a stranger. You are more than welcome to come back anytime. Not so much so for you to ask us anything, but for us to ask you anything about how Synergy's going and the WAEV network. From whatever.
Have a mall, isn't it? I can see that Ashish asked a question regarding the pavement gateway issues. I can't answer for Esperance because unfortunately Esperance is on Horizon Power land. However, in the Swiss, as most of you have seen last week when Telstra gets these issues, if you don't have any comms, our chargers will be on free vend. But I believe that when Telstra get down, Horizon Power realized that for some reason their chargers didn't go on free vend. So maybe that's what you experience in Esperance. I'm not really sure, even though it was in January. So I don't know. I'm not really sure what was your issue, Ashish, there. But be reassured that in the Swiss, we have put into place something that if we don't have any comms, then it's free. So you don't get stranded.
And I think the charger looks for the mobile network for up to about, is it a minute?
A minute,
and
yeah.
Then, yeah, and if you can't find the network, then it goes to free vend. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is correct. Yeah, the charger didn't allow you to charge. Yeah, I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I don't know. And to be
January,
fair, we
Sandra,
have
that January one was that was the 1st of January. That was a big outage, and that was actually resolved. So that was a different thing, but that won't happen again.
And look, outage, there's nothing we can do about it. Sometimes it's planned. When it's planned, we try to let the customer know throughout the different Facebook pages, but sometimes we don't know there is outage and there's nothing we can do. Yeah, there is still some issue. As I say, like we get down towards Esperance on Monday. We had issue like at 3 out of 5 of our chargers or something like that. Like, is it good enough? No, it's not good enough, but we are really much looking at what are the issues. And this one was really created. It's the same that was happening in Joyon Bay. It was created because of a specific software, an older version of a software. And when Telstra got their issue, then it didn't reboot correctly. So we were able to put the charge, but then it was switching down in like a few seconds. Or sometimes we went to, I think it was Williams, and we couldn't charge with the RFID card, only with the app. So if you don't have any reception like me, somehow I never have a reception or Wi-Fi, then you can't charge your car. So like, yeah, there's always little bits and pieces, and yeah, it's a work in progress, but that's why as well it's so important. If you see something even if it's a little bug, but then it works, please call ChargeFox and let them know so that this is reported, because if not, there is no way that we know of it. Or if you see vandalism, if a nozzle is destroyed or damaged, the charger is not going to talk to us. So we won't receive any notification. We won't know that it doesn't work. So we rely on every users to know about the network and to make it better. So if you see anything, there is on every charger, there is a hotline, ChargeFox number. And I know it can be painful, but that's very, very important that you report, because if not, we can't do anything.
Absolutely. All right. Has anyone else got any questions for Sandra before we let her recuperate from this rather long project and get back to her family? No, I think we're all good. All right, Sandra, once again, thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, please don't be a stranger.
Thanks,
You're
guys.
welcome back anytime. Absolutely. And yeah, once again, thank you for your presentation. Really appreciate everything you've done.
Pleasure. And yeah, if you want to share the presentation, it's fine with me as well.
Awesome.
People
Will
want
do.
it. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely night.
Thanks,
Thank you
Sandra.
so much, Sandra. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
So
Alrighty. So
quickly, Harold, before we move on, if I can just say, Rob's not here, but obviously, yeah, Harold, I mean, Ken's done a huge amount of work as well, but obviously no one's done more work on the Tokwa side than Harold. He's put in the equivalent of almost a full-time job here over the last couple of years. He was involved from day one, and yeah, he's only got home last night, was it? And I mean, I think you've been out on the road commissioning and looking at charges for the whole week, pretty much. So yeah, so Harold's done a huge amount of work, but Rob also has been quite instrumental. So right at the outset, he reached out to Synergy and asked what their composition was in regards to the committee that was looking at spending the $21.6 million as it was at the time. And yeah, there wasn't much representation from any actual EV owners, let alone, and yeah, and not many people had even had any experience with EVs. So Rob identified those straight away, got Harold onto the job, and like I said, Harold, Ken, and Rob have done an amazing amount of work here, and we all owe gratitude to them as well as to Sandra and her team at Synergy.
cool. I guess that's a good time to actually show a couple of home videos of some of these road trips very recent ones. And how about this one?
We
The good thing was the car actually saw the emu. I don't know what it thought it was, but it saw it and slammed the brakes on because I wasn't actually quite paying attention at that very moment, and it was raining on a bend. Another one
Wow.
was this thing, which that doesn't look so bad, but
Yeah, I'm glad you don't have the sound on this one.
no, there's no sound. There's let me just get the other
Starting a
bit.
scream.
It's about here. It just missed the back of the car,
Wow.
and that was me with Sandra on the way to Ravensthorpe, and unfortunately, because we were semi-stranded we're potentially stranded at Hyden, we had to spend an hour, well, nearly an hour extra time in Hyden to get enough charge to get to Ravensthorpe. And then this one's for you, Shane, because you sort of gave it away. This was on the way to Kalbarri, towing a trailer. And if you look in the middle of the road, just here, I only realised at the last moment that that was an echidna. And what it did was towing a trailer, of course. The trailer sort of sticks out the side. As I dodged it, I don't think that the echidna was hurt, but it basically just touched the sidewall of the caravan's tyre and made it go flat the next morning. So
Yeah,
there's
right.
3 wildlife events in only a few days. And as Sandra alluded to, actually the trip to Kalbarri for the commissioning was quite fraught. I turned up 3.5 hours late because sadly there was a fatality south of Geraldton, and there was a diversion. I had to go back to Dongra to get enough charge to go through the diversion. Thankfully, actually, I just found out subsequently that Dongra's lost Telstra on Friday, which was a day that we went up to Kalbarri. But thankfully, it must have been in the afternoon and not when I was doing it. Ken and Sandra had a diversion on the way to Kalbarri from Geraldton, along the way towards Port Gregory, I think it is, because of a truck rollover or something. So it was a bit of a disastrous sort of start to the commissioning process. And I must admit, I was quite fed up. I got there at dusk, and yeah. Anyway, but the great thing was that Friday night, and sneaky Sandra actually got a video of Ken and me. We were just losing our shit at the 4th launch of Starship, and we were literally like 2 giggling little boys just watching this video on an iPad, just losing our shit at how good that
I
Starship
think I
was.
have been censored on a lot of the pictures and videos that I have along those 3 years, by the way. So it's missing some slides in there. But anyway, I have them. If anyone needs them, reach out to me.
That'll be
I've got
Sandra's
a
Christmas
few.
tape. But yeah, so and circling back, and yeah, like I said, Sandra, if you need to go, you can go. And I'm not going to ask a comment about this, but yeah, obviously there was a really unfortunate occurrence at Jurien Bay. There was very sadly an MG4 that was stranded, and unfortunately the ChemPower wasn't working because of a software issue, and the ChargeMate also wasn't working because of a connection issue, which obviously Synergy, JetCharge and ChargeFox will be working hard to resolve that, so that won't ever happen in the future. And that's the critical thing. Mistakes may be made or things may happen that weren't expected, but the main thing is, as long as it's known, there's a learning from it and it's not repeated, then that's always a good thing, because sometimes things just happen. So unfortunately, MG4 owner who was at Jurien Bay had to get a tow truck to tow their car to Lancelin, which is really unfortunate, but these things happen. So
Harold, that
James,
charger at the service station across the road, that's been
that's
decommissioned now.
rooted. It's a excuse my language. It was always a temporary thing, you know. It was John Edwards, to his great credit, you know, not wanting to be treated like or feeling like a second-class citizen or a third-class citizen, went to a lot of effort to convince the owners or the proprietors at the Caltex / Ampol, whatever it is now, to put that tritium, the RT unit, you know, we dragged it up there, got it installed, and yeah, unfortunately it wasn't working. But I guess in fairness, it's not like one should expect something like that to always be working, because it's like a crowd-funded or crowd-sourced, crowd implemented thing. So
and he couldn't charge on a on a AC at the Ampol or anything like that. He had to, like, Wade, who owns the service station, because he owns a Model 3.
Presumably he didn't have a UMC equivalent, like something you can charge on 10 amps.
Yeah,
or a 2-to-2 cable, because there is a Type 2 at Jurien.
Yeah.
Where's that, Ken?
At Jurien, there's a twin Kempower and a Type 2 ChargeMate.
Yes, no, that was faulty, Ken. Unfortunately, that was offline.
Yeah.
So, in this case, sadly, the backup ChargeMate wasn't working, and in fact, Sandra and I theoretically we would have been much delayed at Hyden, because the Kempower wasn't working, but the ChargeMate was. So we may have only had to spend a few hours at Hyden, and then drive well into the night. But at Ravensthorpe, the ChargeMate, it worked the previous night when we had dinner, and the next morning it sort of wasn't working properly. It then latched onto my cable and wouldn't let go of it. So I'm kind of gently yanking on it, and then I could see that the unit had reset itself and then declared that there was no usable internet and it was offline. So thankfully, we've got phone numbers, and we managed to get the Kempower temporarily taken out of maintenance mode so we could charge up to get to Jerramungup. So, which actually, frustrating, this is probably the middle of the program, so not many people are going to watch it on YouTube, but if you have any issues, genuine, stranded type issues at any of the WAEV network sites, please give TOCWA's support line a call on 6262 3131. And one of us at TOCWA will do the best to facilitate some action that perhaps if you ring ChargeFox, which actually I'll bring James into this, because you'll see on many posts on X the way ChargeFox responds to people criticizing various chargers. So James, what was your experience on sorry, I forget which day it was, the Saturday, I think it was?
Yeah, I was on Saturday. So arrived at Jurien Bay, and the charge would initiate and not work. ChargeFox were really helpful, but in my mind, obviously they're dealing with sites across Australia. So when you get the first level help, they don't really know about where you are or what you're doing. So they go through the normal things, treating you like, because I imagine most people, it's user error. I've made a mistake myself before, so they've got to go through all that. But it took a lot of convincing that it wasn't, number one, a credit card issue. Then I knew what I was doing. And then they offered to escalate it, but their only opportunity was that we'll escalate it to the owner. And that was as far as they would go. So we did manage to get them to restart it a few times. But in saying that, it was a perfect storm there in Jurien Bay, because obviously the AC charger was offline. Across the road, I went to the Ampol. The biofuel has been moved. It's no longer on a biofuel generator. It's actually hardwired into their three-phase system, but it's locked up, and the people operating it said they are unable to unlock it. Only the owner can do that, and he's uncontactable on the weekends. So I asked them, I said, "Oh, look, appreciate that, no problem. Is there a 3-phase or a 15 amp or a 10 amp plug that I can pay you $50 to charge from?" And they said, "No, you'd have to talk to the owner for that, and he's not contactable." So I went to the caravan park, who have a Tesla destination charger, but they said, "Oh, that stopped working a month or so ago, but because we've got the charger in town now, we're not going to get it fixed." And so I ended up having to pay $48 to rent a caravan site so I could charge up the 15 amp, because I thought it was better to get nothing. And so then we had lunch and sat and waited to another Tesla or another car to charge up, and we tried the same sort of thing. But ChargeFox were really, really helpful at first level, but they just didn't know how to escalate it to the next level. They were unaware of the problem that this is government owned and there is no one to escalate it to. The fact that it should have defaulted to free vend, they had no way or mechanism to do that. So it was just like you'd like them to have, maybe ChargeFox needs a updated cheat sheet, guide sheet to say, "Oh, it's an EV highway network. These are the other things we can or may be able to do," just in case. Because like I said to him, I said, "Look, I'm okay. I've got charging solutions available to me, but the next person won't." And sure enough, Matt comes in, the next guy, he has no charger. He's on a short deadline, nowhere to charge, but we did manage to get it going temporarily. But yeah, but it's that sort of thing that there's a charger, you're at a charger that doesn't work, and you can see across the road, plugged into their mains, is another charger that they won't open up for you. So I could imagine some people make it a little bit grumpy. I even went and found that the BP in town has a 3-phase next to their thing, but once again, there's only a young 17-year-old man in the station, and he said, "Oh, I don't know if I'll allowed to let anyone plug into that," because I had a 3-phase charger. So I can understand for the MG guy what a frustration it must have been for him. So look, well, I'm happy to be doing this, and I think most people are, but we just know all ABCs always be charging. I could have stayed at Geraldton another 5 minutes. I left Geraldton on 90% because I thought I've got plenty. But if I'd left Geraldton on 100%, I possibly would only had a half-hour charge on 15 amps and made it to Lanston. So once again, probably goes back to, sorry, one more thing, probably goes back to what you were saying, Harold. I think those 100-kilometre distances in between, because there's always going to be in Perth, there's going to be road closures, there's going to be cyclones, there's going to be bushfires, there's going to be reasons you have to skip over one and go to the next one. And that's what I found driving to Sydney. You could always skip one town if there's a problem, go to the next town. But in WA, that is it. Thanks.
And James, when I was on my way to Kalbarri, I was 38 kilometres from Geraldton. I had 52 kilometres left, so that was not a problem. But of course, I came across this tragic fatality, on the road, and the road was obviously closed. Had I charged for another 5 minutes in Jurien Bay going northwards, I would easily have gone through the first diversion and been at Geraldton perhaps 20 minutes later than expected, rather than 3.5 hours having to backtrack to Dongara, charge on AC. Thankfully, Telstra hadn't failed just then. Otherwise, I would have been stuffed, because I would have been like you, James, on a UMC, plugged into a 10 amp somewhere, or perhaps I would have found a caravan park plugged in for the rest of the day. But absolutely couldn't agree more. As good as, and it's amazing how good the WAV network is as far as it's there. The next thing we need to agitate for, respectfully, we're not like people saying, "Well, give us this," and then we're not happy, we want something more. It really is the next logical step is you've sort of like built the dirt road, or you've even built, let's call it the single lane road. Now we need a double lane road for not just EV cars, but EV cars, caravans, trailers, other things. And the 100-kilometre gap will really do that. It'll really facilitate that. And like you say, James, it'll provide that more robustness in circumstances change, you get diversions on dirt roads, you get floods, you get bridges fail, you get all sorts of circumstances where you've got to backtrack. And it's a lot easier to backtrack 100 kilometers than it is 200 or whatever.
We had a couple of occasions on our trip where we learnt the hard lesson: don't leave a working charger. It's a hard lesson to learn, but once you've learned it, yeah, just don't. If you're on a working charger, just fill it up and go.
And speaking of lessons, another good lesson there from the MG4 owner is, you know, it's another one of the ABCs. Always bring cables. So had he had, you know, a UMC equivalent or a cons cable like James had, he would have had, you know, 2 or 3 other options. So.
Yeah, and I really feel sorry for him because I bet he had a really crappy day that day and probably wasn't enjoying his car that day. But let's hope he's the first and hopefully the last that has to experience that. Alrighty. We got any other questions or comments? We've actually run down the program. We've got less than 25 minutes to go.
If no one's got anything more important, just if you could roll up that vision of the kangaroo that you had previously, especially the one where the kangaroo is actually facing away from the road, and then as soon as it's startled, it actually turns around and bolts the other direction. I had the exact same thing happen to me about over 20 years ago, coming back from Exmouth. So a good lesson there. There it is. And see, it's facing the bush, but as soon as you go past it, it does almost a 180 and heads the other way. So yeah, whenever you see a kangaroo on the bush, on the side of the road, even though it looks like it's not going to run across the road, just just slow down anyway, because yeah, they seem to do some crazy things.
But you know what, Pete? Oops, sorry. When I'll tell you what I saw, which was didn't see that, saw that. So,
yeah.
And the thing is, this footage is actually really deceptive because everything's nice and light. And in fact, when you look at the repeat with the side camera, it's even more deceptive because look how bright the sky looks. And I can tell you now, and if Sandra's around, she'll confirm it. It was black as, it was dark as. These cameras are seeing things that eyes don't see. And
absolutely.
So what I actually saw was not the had I seen the kangaroo on the side of the road, I would have slowed down, obviously, because you know it's a threat. But all I saw was it about there, and I didn't even realize until I looked at the footage that it actually was sitting by the side of the road because your eyes are scanning for moving things. Because it was pretty fraught.
Oh look, I did this. I did the exact same thing. Like I said, near Exmouth about 20 years ago in my Holden VK Commodore station wagon. But yeah, it's there's no. I wasn't trying to suggest any criticism. I was just saying, if you see a kangaroo facing one way, don't assume that if you startle it, it's going to go that way, because that's what I assumed. Like I said, 20 years ago, and the kangaroo pretty much did two tiny little but very quick hops in succession, and pretty much did a 180-degree turn and bolted completely the other way. So then I went around, try and go around the other way, and luckily there was no car coming the other way. So
and look how close it is. Like that is just ridiculous. And actually, one of my employees, one of my engineers, his Kluger, his wife was driving it from Jurien Bay, incidentally, and it literally slammed into the back wheel sideways. Like it ran across. They missed the front. It missed the front of the car, but it slammed into the side of the car. So
yeah, you scratch your head. You think they've almost got a death wish, like some of the things that the roos do. But,
yeah, it's scary. But thankfully, we made it all the way. It wasn't one of those cow events or anything else, and the emu survived. And I just wish I had the footage of the actual touchscreen, the MCU, to see what it saw, because I can tell you now it slammed the brakes on.
That's awesome.
So which was great to see, you know. I guess it looked like a fat, skinny human, I don't know, small head, fat body, and thought it was something interesting.
So Harold, was that just for the emu, or was that for the kangaroo that swam?
The emu. No, just the emu.
Just the emu,
The
yeah.
kangaroo for me, and the echidna was also me. Although I must admit, seeing something, you know, sort of small on the road, thinking, oh, you know, you sort of try and make up your mind, what is it? And then you think, oh no, I better dodge it. And yeah, anyway. Alrighty. Yeah, we got another less than 20 minutes. Anyone got any questions, especially any new questions about the cars? You know, there's been quite a few changes lately. Yes, Trev, you got your hand up.
Yeah, hey Harold. Sorry, I only just got here, so I've only just caught the tail end of what's happened tonight. But just a quick one, I suppose, just to cure the curiosity. But we pick up our car next Wednesday, and it's going to be a little bit tight with a couple of appointments. We have to rush back to Bunbury, and then I've got to go pick up the kids and an appointment, and then I've got to go to night shift. And I'm really hoping I can take it from night shift. I'm just curious. Do you know what the state of charge is that they typically hand the cars out at delivery? I'm assuming it's probably 80%, but that's pretty reasonable.
I actually picked up a car for a lady a few days ago, Monday, and it was a standard range Model Y, and it was at 100%.
Oh, yeah.
I also previously have picked up a performance Model Y for Richard Cooper, actually, and it was actually also at 100%. So
Yeah.
I think Tesla are a lot better now at delivering cars at a high state of charge.
I don't think I think we'll have time throughout the day at some point to be able to top up. Unfortunately, to get to the nearest high-speed charger, I need to head in towards Bunbury, which is away from work. But I'm just really hoping that I don't have to top it up to get from Perth back to Bunbury and from there to my next appointment, because my wife's got to work at lunchtime. So as long as it's sort of 60 to 70%, I should be home free. But I didn't think that they'd hand them out 50% or less, but just one of those things that's been sitting in the back of my mind for the last couple of days since we booked the delivery, and knowing how tight that it is, my wife's already a little bit concerned that she's got work at lunchtime.
What you can do is you can actually contact them and let them know and ask them to ensure that your car is charged.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it's a rear-wheel drive or long range, sorry, if it's a rear-wheel drive to 100% ideally, but yeah, is it a rear-wheel drive or
long range?
Long range. Okay, so ideally you want that to 80%. It's fine to go to, you know, 90, 95, or even 99%, or even 100%. But the idea is that you start driving soon after it reaches that point. You just don't want it sitting there and festering at that high level for, you know, hours on end. So maybe just let them know, obviously, when you expect to pick up the car, and ask them to charge to whatever level you need to get to wherever you need to get to, but ask them to obviously charge it so that it gets to a level maybe, you know, 10 minutes before you pick up the car or something.
Yeah, sure.
You should be fine.
You can SMS them back on the number they've been sending you all the various updates, and they'll respond.
Yeah, they were pretty good. The delivery dates they gave us were Monday and Tuesday, which we couldn't make, and they were very easy to switch it over to Wednesday for us.
Yeah, but yeah, just let them know you're going straight down to the country, and they'll generally be pretty happy to make sure it's well charged. Wouldn't hurt to let them know.
Awesome.
Cool. Alrighty. Anyone else got any other questions, or even Trevor? You've boned up on how to set your car up and what to do, how the process works.
To be honest, I haven't really. I mean, I've watched a million videos and think I've got my head around the majority, but the stuff to do with the touch screen, I haven't bothered with. I'm thinking I'll just sit down for a couple of hours. We'll work our way through everything, set all our profiles up, and I'll learn it as I go. And I've already discovered that there seems to be a lot of features that are not well publicized. You know, even things like calendars syncing with phones and whatnot. So I thought I'll figure it out when we get it. Most of my efforts have been in towards charging and doing some theoretical road trip planning for later in the year. So I've spent most of my time with that, and Yeah, we'll see how we go. Actually, that does. You have reminded me of one other thing that's sat in the back of my mind is how frequently does the car recharge the 12-volt battery? Is it only when it's actually running, or say I know a lot of you have talked before about having fridges in the back. Does it constantly top up the 12-volt all the time, or is it only do it when you're using it?
Basically, yes. The short answer is yes. Technically, if it gets below 20% state of charge, it will stop doing that. But all of the newer cars have lithium ion batteries, which are much longer lived. They're expected to live for the lifetime of the car. So basically, yes, it will keep it going. Fridges used to be turned off, but it seems that the car basically leaves the fridges on, and that's perfectly okay because if you think about it, the fridge is being fed by a small 12-volt battery being charged by a very large 400-volt battery. So that's fine. You can run that stuff effectively forever. It's not going to dent your range in any meaningful way. One quick tip to make your delivery process that much faster is make sure you have obviously got your Tesla app and that you have logged into it. So make sure you log in with your email address and password to the Tesla app.
Yeah, I've done that. I've used the website as well as the app.
Yeah, yes, but when you're at the delivery center, you need to use your Tesla app, not the website, to accept delivery.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
when we first put the delivery in, we were on that every hour waiting for a date to pop up. So yeah,
Yes.
we've well and truly been in there.
So what you do is you just go to the counter, which is at the back of, it's right down the alley. Actually, surprisingly, it's full of cars now. It's full of MGs actually on the right-hand side, which is quite surprising. You go there, you say your name, they'll congratulate you, give you a folder which has all your license stuff, and then you open your Tesla app. I think one of the delivery people will come with you, show you your car, and then they will help you with the app to say accept delivery. And there's about 7 steps that you just say yes, 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 whatever, next, next, next. You add your phone as a key, and then basically that's married to your car. You then hop in your car. Pro tip, put in Bluetooth so for audio, so you can answer calls straight away. Set your mirrors, set your seat. If you don't even have to do anything else really apart from that, you can go through some of the settings if you want to. Pro tip, and Pete's going to mention in a sec, if you search what to expect when you're expecting on the TOCWA website, you'll see his post that's very long and very detailed.
Yeah, I have read that one.
Awesome. And the executive summary of the things you should set first, or just confirm they're set to your liking, is under autopilot. That's got quite a few of the safety features, such as, now me personally, I like to have the forward collision warning set to early because I always prefer to be warned earlier than later, just in case. But that's just up to your style. And there's just a few settings that you can set. But like you say, after that, and also, by the way, you won't be able to use autopilot or traffic aware cruise control for about the first 10 Ks roughly of driving. So you'll see a little circle that starts grey, and it will slowly, there'll be like a blue line starting at the 6 o'clock position going clockwise all the way around the dial until it sort of closes that loop. And then you'll see the symbol that has the little autopilot sort of grey steering wheel, which means that you can use autopilot. But actually you need to go into autopilot setting first and enable it. So you need to go and say, yes, I want autopilot, and you've got to agree to its terms and conditions. The other thing too that a lot of people forget is do go into safety, I think it is, and enable Sentry mode and dash cam, because by default when the car is delivered to you, it will not be enabled. So that's always useful because God forbid if you have a crash or something, you'll have video of it. Or if you park the car and someone scratches it or something, accidentally or whatever, you'll have that footage from day one.
Just don't be alarmed if the cameras and autopilot, etc., doesn't work for the first few minutes. The car usually takes 5 to 20 minutes for the cameras to calibrate. So, yeah.
And there you go. And just enjoy the experience. Also, don't feel rushed that you have to drive away or whatever, but you can actually just drive out of the shed, for lack of a better term, and there are a few customer bays just sort of out and to the right. So you can sort of like get out of the premises, get out of their hair, but then just have a quick look around. I mean, I'm aware that you want to go south straight away. So just have a thorough look at the paintwork. If there's anything that concerns you, you don't have to deal with it there and then. Just take a photo of it, and then you can raise that with Tesla in a few days' time. That's totally fine. And you can do that via your Tesla app through the service menu. So that's but don't feel rushed. But again, don't also feel obliged you have to hang around. You can just take your car and go.
Yeah, I probably won't muck around too much with the settings on day one. I'll wait till I finish work the next day. But you did mention turning Sentry mode on, so we've got it from day one. But does the car have an internal hard drive that it uses if you haven't got the USB?
No, the USB.
Or the car comes with
it's a flash.
Yeah, it comes with a USB.
It comes with it. Okay, no worries. I thought that was something we had to get as well.
And something else, a bit of a
128 gigabyte flash stick.
Yep.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're a wearing item. In my experience, last about a year. Well, sorry, actually, I'll do more driving, but they last. Well, they're a wearing item.
They start corrupting.
Yes, they'll basically stop working because it's only flash. It's not SSD, so or other technology. So you can get a multitude of things. Some people get SSD drives, such as Samsung stuff or whatever. I've personally just bought an SD card, ultra fast SD card with a little USB adapter. They're really tiny. You stick it in, and to be honest, I've found that to be very reliable. Whereas Tesla's factory memory sticks, they're a wearable item. They get hammered and they wear out.
I've used a SDXC card, but with just a little USB. 256 gig is the most that the car will take. The advantage of using the SDXC is that it doesn't really stick out much. So being in the glove box, if you put things in there, you could potentially break or damage the factory one, which is about that long. So the one that I got is literally only as long as, a centimetre, not even. I'll see if I can find one here. Oh, I thought I had one lying around here somewhere, but I can't find it at the moment. Oh, yes, there it is. I can show you. So there it is there. I'm not sure if you can, not sure if you can see that.
Just put it in front of your face. Yeah, it's very small.
Yeah. So.
Now, one pro tip, if you've got a Highland Model 3, good luck taking the memory stick out. I tried to take my kid's memory stick out and I just couldn't do it. Because it's horizontal and you can't get your hand in this way. You've got to go, you can only do it this way because your hand just does not fit in that tiny, tiny glove box, which is about the size of a pair of gloves. So it literally is what it says on the cover. But yeah, good luck trying to pull it out sort of by the narrow bit. But anyway.
Skill issue, Harold.
Well, Ken, give it a go.
I've already dragged it out. It's not that hard. But yeah,
have you? You must have mountain
my delicate little sausage fingers. It's fine,
Dearie me. All right, we're into the last. Go, Pete.
I must say that's one of the disappointing things about the Highland is the glove box. If anything, with the older Model 3, I would have thought they'd use the refresh to actually make the glove box a little bit bigger because they'd only need probably about another inch, not even, and you could fit in a A4 sized, document or a 11-inch laptop. And with the USB port in there, and the fact that you could actually lock it previously was a good place to leave your laptop and charge it, securely. But now that, the glove box is...
It's a glove box. So you get your pair of gloves and you put it in your glove box and job done.
How many people do you know that use driving gloves?
Maybe there should be more. Maybe we'd all be better drivers.
I need a Lexus drivers among us, really,
Well, I
So-
used to own a Lexus, and I never. Had it
Did
into
you really?
But I'm not that. I'm not that. I'm not in that echelon. Let's say I'm not in
Yeah,
the
that's
driving
right, 'cause-
gloves echelon.
Richard, you've got your hand up patiently.
I do. Yeah, somewhere I'll try and make it quick. One of the work colleagues asked me if there was a good Samsung Watch app for the Tesla, and I have no idea. But I said I'd ask it tonight.
They're only third-party apps, so you got to hand over credentials and/or a token. Elon Musk did claim or concede that Tesla ought to work on a watch app. I think the biggest problem is, so for example, in your awesome Model X, you cannot use your phone as a key. It's not possible. So you will never be able to do live camera views and all that sort of stuff because it relies on the token interacts between the phone key and the car. And I think that's the crux of the problem is that interaction between the watch as a phone key and whatever with cars.
I don't think he's too fussed about the handing over a token, because he said that there was a really good watch app for the Samsung Watch, but it was like $25 a month or like $600 free, like for a lifetime. And I'm like, what? Jeez, what is it doing? Like, but I said, look, I'll see if anyone knows anything tonight.
I use Tessie, which has a iOS and Android and Wear OS and Apple Watch implementation. It's about half that price you just mentioned, but it also has the added advantage that it gives you a whole bunch of other tracking. And I initially got it to track my kilometers for tax.
Yeah, I thought I'd heard of it before. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but the cool thing is it's also got a watch app, and I use that quite a lot. And it works okay with the Model S, but of course, it doesn't. The watch isn't capable of unlocking the Bluetooth because the proximity Bluetooth on most of the watch devices isn't sufficient. But yeah, you can certainly then just click unlock, and it works.
Okay.
Alrighty. So we've got to.
So just one other thing. I just happened to drive past the O'Connor Tesla store. Oh my goodness, I had no idea how massive it was. It's fantastic. Literally stopped in our tracks, and like I knew it was going to be, I didn't even know where it was going to be. I just happened to see the massive sign, and just brilliant. Looks incredible.
And imagine how the Cybertruck is going to look parked there for 2-3 weeks at that store. All right, Pete, how would you take out an awesome show like this as if I didn't already know?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable. Thank you, Sandra, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, buy Tesla shares, vote those Tesla shares in the next 24 hours, join TOCWA and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Have a wonderful week, everyone. I really do hope the shareholder meeting goes well, and really look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Well.